Firebase is a platform from Google for creating mobile and web applications. In this course from Cybernautico, you will learn how to use Firebase features and integrate Firebase with different JavaScript frameworks.
Firebase, a suite of tools needed to build a full stack application with authentication, databases, file storage, security tools, and analytics to build a full stack CRUD application with easy to use documentation. So, by the end of this video, we will be able to learn authentication in Firebase, how to use databases, file and image storage, uploads, and real-time database updates, Firebase queries, and at the last, we will learn how to host an application to Firebase. We will also learn how to use Firebase with different frameworks like React, JavaScript, Next, or Angular. So, let's start now. So, first of all, let me create one project in Firebase. Let me enter Firebase frontend. Continue. So I am showing you from the start, from the beginning, how to do all of these. Here I have a code sandbox which has two inputs, email and password. And let's tackle authentication first. So here we have so many options like password, email authentication, email link, Google sign in with Apple, with Facebook, Twitter, GitHub, Microsoft, Yahoo, and all. So let me show you these things first. Now our project has been created. Now let's create one app. So click web app here, enter the name. So wait a second, make this as Firebase Basics, then registered app. Yes, so here I have email and email input and password input and one submit button. If we type anything here, this will be fed into this email of name, sorry, in the input of name with the value respectively. So for the email, it will be email in this data state. For password, it will be password. So we have to install Firebase first. So to install Firebase, come here and go to this file. Just add Firebase as dependency like this. It will be added. And for React app, for the VS Code, you have to install using this command npm install Firebase. Now you see we are getting all this data here that we have to import in the into this app.js. So create a file here Firebase config.js. Let's put all the things here, copy these things and just paste here. Let me remove the comments to make it more clear. We have to export this const app. So this is the config data. We have API key, auth domain, ID and all. So we have to import it here. So import app from one step back, the file name Firebase config. So now we can use Firebase for this app here. So continue to console. Okay, we are targeting authentication first. So we have to come to authentications tab. Click get started here. It comes with the so many type of authentications that I shown you here. Password, email link, Google, Facebook and all. So we have to enable them first. So let's first enable email and password sign up and sign in. Also add your domain here. So let me add the domain. The domain is this. So copy this and just add it here. Wait a sec. Add it. So it will work, I guess. Now what we have to do is we have to import a few things from Firebase authentication. So just like it says here, import get auth and create user with email and password here. So get auth is a function to check whether we are authenticated or not, and this function create user with email and password, it is used to create one user. So let me do it. First, let me define the auth instance. So let auth equals to get auth simply like this. Then in this function handle submit, if we click the button here, submit button, this will be sent inside. If we click the submit button, this function will run, which is handle submit. So in this function of create user with email and password, we have to pass the three things. First is the auth. See, it's getting passed here, the auth, the email and the password. So let me get the email. So our email is from the data state. So data.email and data.password. So we have to record the response in the console. So we will use then. It will send us a response. To add the response in the params in the callback function, we can just say console.log response.user. But if it fails, if our sign in fails, we can just catch it using catch. So error, we will just show an alert which is error.message. So save it. Now let's try to sign in. We don't have any email here, so let's try it now. Enter the email, or first open the console and clear all these things here from the console. Add the email and some password. Submit. See, we are getting all this data here. Provider, reloader. Okay, we don't need this. We only need the access token. We need the display name, which is null. Email that we used to sign up is verified. Phone number and all. So here it's not verified. So if we refresh this, we should see this email here. See, it's coming here. And one great thing about this is, so let me sign in or sign up, I mean, with the same email twice. It's present here. If we sign up again or create the user again, we will see an error in the alert. Submit. See, we're getting auth email already in use. So that's how we create a user in the Firebase Firestore. So not Firestore, I mean in the auth. I am getting why I am repeating Firestore every time I speak Firebase. Okay, so create is done. Now let's see how to sign in. So to sign in, we have this method, sign in with email and password. So simply add it here or replace the create user and here also. And all the other things will be the same. Save, and now let's try to sign in with this email. Clear it. The console clear. Submit. See, we are getting all the data here, which is getting returned from here, from this response. But if we enter the wrong email, that's not present here, we should see an error. So let me use an wrong email, nishan4401@gmail.com, and click submit. See, user not found because this user is not present inside the auth. What if we enter the wrong password? So let's enter the wrong password. Submit. See, still the error of wrong password we are getting here. So sign up and sign in is done. I mean, create account and sign in. So now let me focus on the email or Google sign-in authentication. So you can read the docs and do it just like I'm doing it for all other sign-in methods, because I won't be able to show you everything. So last here is, let me just show you Google Auth provider first. So we need the get auth and Google Auth provider. Then we have to create the auth instance for provider of Google. So let Google provider equals to new. We have to initialize the provider using new Google Auth provider. Fine. Then we have to import one more thing, which is called sign in with pop-up. Pop-up, it's here. So we have three things: get auth, Google Auth provider, and sign in with pop-up. We have to use the function here, and we will pass the auth, this auth, and the provider name, which is Google, and that's all. But here also we have to add the provider of Google. So enable this and then save using your email at the email support ID, project support email. Save. So it's being created. So save, and if we click submit button here, this should open up a pop-up here. So if we just save and try, okay, it will work. See the name of Nishant as 440@gmail.com. The provider here is email. So if we try again, click submit. Okay. So we are getting an error because we have to add the method here, but this is not working, this custom domain. So let me fix this. So if I just copy this and add this here, or just do a share button. Okay, it's not for us. Okay, just copy the web link here from here and just post it here in the domain. Click add, and that should work now. So if we click submit button, okay, unauthorized domain. Wait a second, submit once more. Okay, what is the problem here? We can't able to trigger this here. So submit or refresh this, then click submit. Okay, now we are getting it here. Let me show you the pop-up, and I think you can see it too. So then just click, okay, where is it? Click the email, any email. So see, we are getting returned all this data here that we got previously for the password sign up. The email, so this email is verified because we have used the email sign up. Sorry, we have used the Google sign up, I mean, and the provider here has been changed to Google. So similarly, we have GitHub, we have Facebook, Apple, Twitter, and all. So for GitHub, we have to import the GitHub auth provider, and then we have to add the, what is it? Let me just open the sign in method of GitHub. We have to add the client ID and secret, and it will return us the auth handler link that we have to paste in the GitHub website, GitHub app, I mean. So if we go to github.com, we should see the settings here. So go to settings and go to the developer settings here, auth apps. So create one new app here. So let me just open this FireAuth. So I have to use the auth URL here that you are getting from here. Where from here. Wait a second. If we add the GitHub, this one. So we have to add this here in this authorization callback URL. Then we have to get the client ID and secret from here. So you have to figure it out. If not, you can check my video about GitHub authentications in the same playlist. So that's done. So we have done Google authentication and password, create user and sign in. So now let's move to databases. So for Firestore, let me just go to this Cloud Firestore. Then, okay, we don't need this. You can read docs if you want, but I will show you how to perform all the 4 operations for Firebase Firestore. So open the Firestore here in the left tab. Then just create database, start in test mode, then enable this. So now we can use Cloud Firestore. And here in the Firebase config, we have to import a thing called, so import get Firestore. So wait, let me just first add the Firebase/Firestore folder. We have to import get Firestore from Firebase Firestore. Then we have to create one new const of database. Then we have to pass this app in the get Firestore function. So we are done. Also, we have to import the database in our app.js because we have to use it to create the reference to a collection. So see, we have to create a collection here. So we can do it manually here or from the application, from the React app. So let me do it from the React app. So we have to remove all these things that we don't need right now. Let me remove this as well from auth. We have to import 2 things. So first is the collection keyword, collection function to add a collection to Firebase. Then add doc to add document to the Firebase Firestore. So we can do from what I'm doing, Firebase slash Firestore this. So let's create a collection here. So just type const collection ref equals to collection keyword. It will take the things here, which first is the database, this database. Second, the collection name. So we can make the collection as users. The name users will be here in the collection. It will be shown later. Now we have to send data using add doc function. To add doc, and it accepts two params. First is the collection reference, and second is the data. So let me add one more. Okay, leave it. So just add email. It will be data.email. Then let's add the password, data.password. Fine. Then we have to record our response, or we can just say dot then for the success alert, and we can say alert data added. But if it is an error, we can just catch it and say error. We can say console or alert arr dot message. So save it. Now let's try to add data. So let me enter the email and some password. Submit. This function like add doc, collection, it's common in all the frameworks like React, Angular. So if we have to add data from Angular, we have to use add doc. If we have to add data from Svelte or JavaScript or React or Vue.js or Next.js, we have to use add doc. So it's common for all other frameworks. So see, this new data is now here, this new collection name, Nishant S440 at the rate blah blah blah, and the password. Let me add one more. So let me just make it as one and submit. Added, and it's here. If we refresh this page, I think it should be here. So let's check. See, we have two collections here now. Nishant S4401, the latest one, and this one, the previous one. Now let's see how to read data. So we can create a function for this. So const get data. It will be an arrow function. So to get data, we have to get a function called get docs. This function gets data from Firebase. To get data, we have to just pass the collection reference here. So collection ref, we have to pass it here. It returns some data as a response like any API call. So say response, and here we can just do console.log response.data. We have to map through the data because it's very clumsy. So it takes a parameter called, let's say, item. Then we have to return what do I have to return? Return item dot data or doc. Let me make it data. We will see what we get. So we have to call the function because we are not calling it. So if we paste it here in the submit button, we should see the data here if we click submit. So cannot read property of map. Okay, I guess this is not data, it's doc. We can check it here. If we go to read data, get data once. Okay, get doc. Okay, this is not the data, it's only for one data. Okay, region. Let's check add and manage data here. I think the read is already here. So where is read docs? Okay, wait. Structure data. Let me see. Okay, leave it. Let's try this. Submit. Cannot read properties of. Okay, I think this is doc. And this one is data. Submit it. Save it. Submit it. Then. Cannot read properties of. What? For map. So we are passing the collection reference and get docs. And then we are consoling the response. Response.docs. I think it's not doc. Submit. Yes, now we are getting this. We are getting two objects here. Which are these objects? These two IDs. So let's add the ID as well. So wrap it in a curly bracket and make it an spread operator. So it's storing the data and also the ID. So ID will be item.id. Save it and now let's try. If we don't need it. Okay, we don't need three brackets here because it's just an single string. So try it now. Submit. See, it's here the two objects with their IDs. This ID and this ID. So this is how we document. So let's now try to update data. So const update doc. We need a function update data. So these are common. I am telling you once more. So add the function to the submit button of update data function. So here we have to import two things. So we can just add, if we break this down, it will be good for us. So we have to do a doc and update doc. So we can update only one data at a time. So in the update doc, we have to send the button, we have to send the ID. So you can send ID. I mean, because we need the ID here. So let me just choose any ID here from this two and I will show you. And for the depth, you can see my other React video where I have shown how to update data using the ID param. It's just a common React thing, not from Firebase. So what we can do is we have to use the doc function. So first we have to specify which document to update. So say const doc to update equals to we have to use this doc function that we just imported. It takes three parameters. So two of them are here. Where? Let me check this collection reference. Wait, this one. So it is the database and the user. So pass it here. The database, the collection name, and the ID. So let me choose the ID of this. So this one, copy this ID. We will update this field then statically. So add the ID here. So now, okay, so doc is now been selected, which document to update. So if we choose the submit button, click submit button here. This Nishant as 440 and the password of 123456 will be updated. Then we have to call update doc to update it. We will pass doc to update, I mean which document to update, and the new data. So let's add email. This should be, let's say ABC, and add password something, anything, 123 123 4 5 fine. So if it is successful, we can just call then, which will show an alert and it will say data updated. But if it fails, we can catch it using catch error and just an alert, and it will say error dot message. Fine. So this is done. We are passing database, the collection name, and the ID here in the doc to update function, and then we are doing all these things. Save it. Okay, let's also call this get data function. Okay, that is not important. So click submit. So let me check first. The email is this. Okay, the email is this. It will be changed to this ABC. The password is this, changed to 12345. So submit, updated, and if you check here, see the email is ABC and the password is 123456. if we add this ID here, let me show you, and we can also update one field at a time. So if we don't want to update password, we can just remove this or make this just as anything you want or simple some password. So save, submit. So here this should be ABCD. So let me make it ABCD. This should be ABCD, the email. So submit, updated. See, the email is now ABCD and the password is the same. So that is how we update document. So the fourth one is delete document. So let me show you here. So we can make it delete data and pass the function here to the button. And we don't need to pass data here. We only need to pass the doc to update or doc to delete. So let me get one more function which is known as delete doc or delete doc, doc. Fine. So just add the function here, where in the update doc place. So we have to use the data deleted alert. So all the things are fine. So save, and now let's check. If we click submit, second ID will be deleted, this one with email ABCD and the password 126. Submit. Okay, deleted, and see, it's not here. We only have one field with the email of ABC and the password of this. So that's how delete function works. If you want to delete this ID, we have to copy the ID and paste it here. So thus the third param is ID here. Okay. So you have to get the ID from the params for this delete function. Pass the ID from here. It will come here, and then pass the ID simply here. So submit, deleted, and see, we don't have any fields here. We are having empty data in Firestore. So that's how add document, get document, update document, and delete document works in Firebase Firestore. All the four CRUD operations operation. Now let's see file storage for Firebase storage. So we have to do here import. Wait a second. From Firebase storage. Come. It's coming here. Okay. So it should be get storage from Firebase storage. Then we have to export a constant. So export const storage equals to get storage, and similarly pass the app. Then import the storage here. So we don't need the database because we are going to remove these things to make it clean. Remove this. Okay, don't remove this. Remove handle submit, not the function, just the constants. Remove get data, delete data, and all. And here let me create one. Wait a second first. Make it handle submit here. Let me create one input field. So we don't need this, so remove it. And on change, it takes an event, and we will call the handle input function for this. So we can just set it like this as well. So set data. This should be event dot target dot files and 0th index. So the file will be stored here in the handle input. And then if we see in the storage, let me open the storage here. Click web, click upload files. So we are getting the data here. Let me show you ultimately. So console.log, let me say file here. So file will be here. Okay, not this. We don't have to use file. I'm doing this wrong. We have to use data. So handle input. Okay, then we also don't need this. So just paste it here. Remove handle input function. So if we choose one file or just save it, but the thing is we have to add the type. So type will be file. We don't need placeholder and in the name. So remove them. So if we choose one file, this should appear in the this should appear here if we press the button of submit. So let me choose one file here, like REST API. Click submit. See, the file is now here, and now we have to send the file to this Firebase storage. So head over to storage here, and let's enable the storage. So it's already enabled. Fine. So we have to import this get storage and reference here at the top. So we don't need get storage because we are already having this get storage here. We have to use it here, the storage, if we want to use get storage. See, it's doing this here, but we have done it here in the Firebase config file. Then we have to specify which document to, which data to save using mountain reference. So create it here. This should be the image name. So the image name should be called as data.name because see, the name is here of the image. So we can just say data.name. So that's done. Now we have to pass the mountain reference to a function. So the function is this upload bytes. But if we go down here, we should see a clear view of all the functions. So we have to use this upload bytes resumable. So import it from Firebase storage here. Then one more thing we need is the get download URL. So if our file upload is successful, we will get a URL in our console that we can just send to database. Like let's say we submitted one profile picture and it's returning us a link. Then we can send the link to database for the avatar or for profile picture. So we have to use this upload bytes resumable function. So say upload task, create one instance of this. It takes the storage ref, which is not the mountain ref, so pick it storage ref, fine. Second is the file, so it's data, not file. So then we have to do just this called upload task.on. So here let's do it. So upload task.on, state changed. So it takes an callback URL, so let me just make it like this. And if you see here, it's taking a parameter called snapshot. So in the first callback, we can calculate the progress of how many percentage of the photo has been uploaded. Then using this data, we can create a progress bar. So it will be shown here. If it is an error, we can handle the error. So let me just add this here. So let me console the error. So console.log error dot message. Wait. Then if it is successful, if the file upload is done, we can just call the next function here, which is called get download URL. So you see, it's returning us a URL. Wait. Let me clear this comment. Now if we refresh this, okay, let me just try this. We don't have any files in the storage, so let me just choose one file. So we have chosen. If we submit here, see, upload is 0% done. Okay, unknown error occurred. Okay, let me just refresh the page and try once more. If we check here, we are passing the script storage here. Fine. All the things are great here also. So let's try this. We are using ref to specify the reference. Data.name. Okay, let me pass it outside. Save. Now let's try to upload one file. Click submit. 0% done. Okay, what is the error here? Okay, let me see. Unknown error occurred. Check for payload. So let me check this. Check for payload. Firebase storage error. State changed. Okay, upload task. Images. Reverse.jpg. data.name. Okay, let me bring this back here. So we are creating the storage ref here, like this. Why here we are passing this? We are passing it here, the storage. So if we see ref const storage, get storage, it's fine. We are passing the ref here. Storage ref, then the data in upload bytes resumable. We are using this file, but here we are using data. Fine. So what is the problem here? So it's not being properly uploaded because why? Const upload task is here. Dot on. Fine. State changed. Okay. Fine as well. Snapshot. Progress error. But why can't we upload a file here? Yes, because the rules are not set up here, I think. So we have to also check the rules. So open the rules and see, the rule here is we can only upload a file only when we are authenticated. But we are not authenticated here. So let me try once more. It will work. Submit. Upload is done 100%. And see, we can see the file URL in the console. If we go to this link here, we should see the image that we uploaded. Now you can use this link to send data to Firebase databases. So if we check it here also, refresh the page. Wait, they should be shown here. What is this? What is this? In the storage. So wait a moment. See, the image is here with the name, all the things that you can use, also the location. So what if we want to upload the file in a folder? So here in the data.name, we can specify the folder in a string variable. So make this as template literal first, then just add the folder. Let's say it's images / the image name. So we will send the images in the images folder. So if we try once more to send data, so try it, choose another file, any random file, then submit. It should be uploaded in an images folder. So let me check it here, refresh storage. See, it's in the images and the current image is here that we just uploaded. So that's how Firebase storage works in all frameworks for React, Angular, Vue, Svelte, JavaScript, Next, and all the things. So fine. Now let's see how to use the real-time updates in the Firebase Firestore. So let me show you what I mean. We are getting the data here from getDocs function in the getData function, and it's empty here. If we add one name, Nishant Kumar, and email, submit, it's added, but it's not getting refreshed here. So to refresh the page, we have to refresh the page manually. Click this, and only then we will get this array of objects here from Firebase Firestore. So to solve this issue, we have to create one more thing called onSnapshot. So import this function, and let me just comment this getDocs right now. So this onSnapshot listens to the real-time updates in Firebase Firestore. Here we have to pass the collection reference and one callback function. So this callback function will run every time there is a change inside Firebase Firestore. Any change. If we delete, if we update, or if we add data. So we have to do this. So it takes a parameter called, let's make it data, and just console.log this thing. So I have already this consoling here. So copy and just paste it. Remove the comments here. Let me refresh, or let me format the code here. See, let's try again from the beginning. Refresh the page. We have an object here coming from here. If we add one more object, let's say Nishant Kumar 2 and the email something else, to submit, this new data will be here. That was not before with the getDocs function. So submit, see added, and we are getting listened in real time. If we add one more, 4403, we will have 3 objects here coming from here. So when this data changes here, this will also change in the front end app. If we delete this collection or any field, let's see what happens. Delete document, start delete. See, here we have also refreshed the page, and we only have 2 objects coming from the Firestore, this Firestore. So that's how it works. If we delete the whole collection, we will have the empty object or empty array there right now. So delete this. So see, the array is now empty because it's getting listened to in the real time. So that was how onSnapshot works to get data in real time from Firebase Firestore. Now let's see the Firebase Firestore Queries. So queries are used to filter data based on some field like name or age. So here I have 4 fields I have added, which contains name, age, and email. So let's filter data according to them. So we need the keyword called query from Firebase Firestore, and one more thing, it is called where keyword. So let me create one const of query. So let's say const. Let's first add the age query. So it takes the query parameter. So we will filter out the ages which are less than 28. So I think we should get 25, 21 and 20 ages. So to filter, this takes the collection reference here as first parameter. Then in the second param, it takes the where. And here we define the condition. So we have to filter out based on age, to add the age, then one comma, then we have to add the condition, whether we want it to be equal to or we want it to be less than or greater than. Then the value. So we want the age to be less than 28. So here with this as less than. So if the age is less than 28, then this will be shown. Then we have to pass this age query to get the function. So in our case, it's onSnapshot. So on the place of collection ref, pass the age query here, and you will see we will get the 3 data here, where the ages are less than 28, 20, 21 and 25. If we make it more than 28 or equal to 28, we will see only one age, which is 28 here. So let me just show you. Refresh. So if age is equal to 28, we will see only that data. See we are getting only one age here because only one data has the age of 28 here. So that's how age or numeric filter works. So let's now try to filter name query. So for the name query, we will use if the name is equals to this Nishant Kumar 4, then it will print the data of this. So if we refresh the page, let's see what we have here. Okay, something is wrong. If name equals to this Nishant Kumar 4, okay, we have to pass the query here as well, not age query, because that doesn't exist. So see, we're only getting the name because the only one name, because here the name is Nishant Kumar 4 and we are filtering it based on that. We can also add the email or any other field we want, and that's how the age or any other query works. Fine here. Okay, make this as email. Then we can see this query here. If we make it just nishant440@gmail.com, this should be here because this record has the email of this and the name of this. So that's how query works in Firebase Firestore. So let's learn how to host a web app or a website to Firebase Hosting. So I have a React app here, a blog website that we will host. So first thing to do, we have to create, or we have to install the Firebase CLI. So we will just do this, install Firebase tools here. Let me install this. And one more thing I have to do is we have to create a build here. So npm run build. After these two, we will be moving forward. So we have to wait for the build to generate and for the Firebase tools to install. So let's wait. Now we have the build. So let's deploy it. First, let's log into Firebase using Firebase login CI. Enter. So it will open up a window in the Chrome. Sign in with this. Allow this. And we are signed in with Firebase. Then what we have to do is we have to initialize the project. So let me just zoom this. So we can just do Firebase init. We want to proceed. So yes, we want the hosting. So just press space to select the option and enter for the next step. So we want the public directory as build because that's where the build is. Enter. So okay, we don't need this automatic build. Okay, wait, something wrong. So let me do it once more. Let me clear it first. We have to initialize it using this. So yes, we want the hosting. Enter. Build is the public folder. We want the single page app. Yes. You don't want the automatic builds. No. You don't want to override this. No. That's all. Let's just use the command called Firebase deploy to deploy this. So the step is to generate a build first, then to log in, then to initialize, then to deploy. So we have different commands for generating the build for Angular, for React, and for any other framework like Next. So that's how we do it here. So see, it's getting or giving us a website link here. So let's open it and see. We should see the website here. So this is the website that we just hosted in this link. And that's how Firebase hosting works. Now let's look into the Firebase security rules. So if you open Firebase rules here, the rules are now set to public. It means anyone can write data or read them. So even if we are not authenticated in Firebase using login and password, we can write data or read them. So let's try this. Currently we are not logged in because we are getting this message of not logged in coming from this onAuthStateChanged. That tells us that if we are logged in, we will see an alert of logged in, but if we are not, we will see the alert of not logged in. In my previous video, I have shown this how to use the onAuthStateChanged or not state changed. Yes. So we can also read data. Open the console. See, it's empty right now because the data is empty here. So let me now add one data without signing in. We are not signed in, not logged in. Add the email, add the name, the email, and some age. Click add here. See, we are seeing the alert of data added, and if we check here, it will be added here. It will be having one document of age 25, email and the name that we just added here. And we can read them also. Open the console. See, it's coming here in the console. So now let's change the rules to authenticated. It means we will write data only if we are authenticated. So let me do it here. So remove this read right now. Okay, just do if allow write only if the request dot auth is not equal to empty. So we can make it null here. So it means it will allow us to read data or write data, I mean, when we are logged in, when the request.auth is not null. If it is not null, there should be some data inside the request.auth. The data we get from the authentication when we sign up or sign in. So second thing to write here is allow read in any case. So write is authenticated proof, authentication proof, but not this read. So publish this rule and open data tab. So now let's write data without signing in. We are not logged in. Add the name, the email and the age. Click add. See, we are getting this message called missing or insufficient permissions, but we can read data. So open the console. We are getting the data here. See, the age 25 and the blah blah message or the fields here. We are getting it here. So now let's make the rule of read to be authenticated proof as well. So do it here like this, and you will see we will still get that error that we got in the write operation. So save this or publish this. Open the console. We will see the message of permission is not sufficient. So refresh the page. Not logged in. See, error in the snapshot listener, Firebase error, missing or insufficient permissions. So it means we don't have permissions to read data because we are not logged in. So now let's try to log in. Add the email and the password. Log in here. See, now we are logged in. And if we refresh the page, so see, we should see the data here because it's allowing us to read after authentication. Now let's add data after authentication, the email and the age. So click add here. So see, data added here. So that's how authentication works. I mean, that's how the rule works in Firebase Firestore rules, authentication and all. One more thing there is here is to allow the users to read or write in no cases. So it means even we are logged in or we are in the authenticated tab, it should allow us to not write data. So we will just add if false here and here as well. Okay, just make it only in the write permission. This will allow us to write data in no cases, even if we are authenticated. So refresh page. We are logged in. Let's add data. The age. Click add. See, we don't have the permission to see the data. I mean to write data. So that's how Firebase Firestore rule works. Now let's handle the Firebase real-time auth updates. So I mean, when we log in, our app should send data to Firebase that we're logged in. If we log out, our app should send data to Firebase that we're logged out. So if here I have an email and one password field, login button and logout button. I have added one email here of my email. So let me just create this onAuthStateChanged function that will listen to onStateChanged in real time. So just make it like this here and create one use effect hook. Use effect. Simple as that. Make it an empty string here. I mean empty array. So just call the function here. So I mean when we are logged in, it takes an auth parameter. And second thing it takes is an callback function. Callback function returns some data to us. So we can say data. And console it here. Data. If I check this console here, let's see what we have initially. So we are getting the data here because now we are logged in. So let me start from the beginning, log out. Fine. So, sorry. Now we are logged out here. So let me enter the email and password. Email is this and the password is something. Okay, fine. So if I click login with the email and password, this function onAuthStateChanged, it is sending data to Firebase that we are logged in. If we click log out, this will send data to Firebase that we are logged out. And it's persisting. Even if we refresh the page, it will still exist. So unless we log out or log in, the state will not change. So if I log in, click the button here, we will get all the data here. See, even if we refresh the page, it will be still getting the data. We will still getting the data here. But if we click log out, this should be null. It means now we are logged out. So let me just refresh the page and you will still see the null because we have not logged in, we are logged out. Let me give you one more thing here. So create check if data exists or if it's not null, or if we are logged in, we will show an alert here every time it runs that we are logged in. But else if, or just else, okay, just make it else, we will see an alert that we are logged out or not logged in. Save this and now let's try this to see. We are reading this message called logged in. So refresh the page, still the same because we are not logged in. If we enter the email and the password, we should see that we are logged in now. Okay, then if we refresh, we are logged in because Firebase has set the state of auth state to logged in. If we log out, the state will change to logged out. So that was all about onAuthStateChanged in Firebase, which listens to our real-time updates in auth. So create a file called index.js here and one, sorry, index.js, yes, and one for HTML. So index.html. So they are running here. So let's add the embed code here and make this as Firebase JS. So first, in this first video, we will just learn how to authenticate and use the CRUD operations for JavaScript, for Vanilla JS, I mean. So let's link the script tag here, script src. So it's index.js and let me format this, fine. So we will write everything inside the body and put the script tag after the body because it should load after here. So let's start by creating a Firebase app here. So go to console here, add a project. Let's make it Firebase front end. Continue, create project here. It's creating. So let's run the file here with live server. So it's running here, but we can't see because we don't have anything. So let me make a div and let's make 4 inputs, or first let's make the 2 inputs for authentication. So we will have input of email, placeholder of email. Wait, sorry, email, and make this. Then second one should have the placeholder of password. Save, and we have email and password. Let's give them a styling. So create one CSS file as well here. So this should be index.css, simple, and link the CSS here. So we can just say link CSS and index.css. Save. So give this div a class name of, or class of, not class name. Let's say main, and here in the CSS we will just say main display of flex height something 100 VH and justify content center, align items, wait, align item center. So they are now in the center positions. So we need to make them row wise. So we can also do flex direction of row, or I think it should be column. Yes, they're column wise, not row wise. So we have now 2 input fields, email and password. Let's add some label email and put them in a div. So this email and password, sorry, this email label and the email input field are now one combination. So do it again for the second here, for the input of password, and at the label this should be password. Save, and now we have these two. Okay, or what we can do is just rename the main to body. Fine, it's now fine. So we have email and password. Let's give them the label some styling, or leave it, it's fine. We are not focusing on the styles. So we need a button here, so make a button, make it as submit. It's here, and give the button a class name of submit button or btn. And in the css, let's add the class name here. It should be position of absolute, then left 50%, top 50%, and save it. Then we also have to add a little bit more margin at the top. So margin top 30 pixels or 40, 50. Fine. We have now email and password and submit button. So now let's get the data from these inputs. So make this as ID, add ID value and make it as email, and this should be password. ID as password. Also let's add the name of input fields. This should be email and this should be password. So name is password. See, so now let's format them properly. Give them a little indentation or whatever it is, and then just wait. Okay, fine, it's fine. So we have now the email and password fields. Now let's get data from them. So to get data, just open index.js file and create a function. So const register, it will be an arrow function. Here let's get data from these input fields. First is email. So let me give the type of the input. So this should be email here, and here this should be password, type of password. Then let's add the inputs here. So const email equals to what should we call it, document dot get element by id, the email id, and dot value to get its value. Then we have to just use password equals to document dot get element by id and the password, its value. If we console these values, we should be able to see them. But first, let's bind this function to this button here, the submit button. So on click register, and now if we try to console them, console.log email and password, let's see what we get. So open the console, inspect element, and enter the email, my and some password. Submit. See, we are now getting the email and the password in the console. So we remove this console log. Let's create the Firebase app. Click the web here and give the name Firebase front end. And here I have a guide on how to add Firebase to the JavaScript library. So use the script tag here. So we don't need all this right now. So just open this documentation. I will leave the link in the comments or in the description. Copy these 3 CDN tags, CDN links I mean, and paste it before the index.js. So we have these 3 links or script tags. First is for auth, and this is for Firebase Firestore. So, and the third is for app. So we have to just use this const Firebase initialize app in our index.js. So save it here and open index.js. Then we can just initialize it at the top. Then we have to add our config here, all this data. So copy these things, API key, auth domain and all, and add it here. Okay, then we have to initialize our database, Firestore database and auth. So let's do it here, and now we can just use this auth to sign up. So we can just say auth dot sign, sorry, we have to use create user with email and password. So mind the spelling, and it's a camel case letter. User is U is capital, W is capital, A is capital, and all. And we have to pass this email and password inside this as params. Email and password. Then it's a promise, so we can have a then block. It says a response to us, and we can say response dot user in the console. It is res dot user. Let's also add a catch block if it fails. So catch. So this should be, what should we call this? It should take an error here. Error. And we can say console dot log error dot message. And one more for the code. So let's add the code here. Error dot code. So let's try this now. But first thing to do is continue to console here. Open the auth tab in the side menu. Authentication tab. Click get started here. Then activate email and password sign in method. Save it. And we are done here. So click users. You see we don't have any users here. So let's add one. Enter the email, but first open the console. Enter the email and some password. Click submit. See, we are getting this all the data here with auth, display name, email, and everything else. So we can use the display name, it's null, email is my name, and everything else here. If we refresh this data in the Firebase console authentications, we will see our email here. You see, our email has been registered now. If we try to create the one more data, if we try to create the account with same email, we will fail. Submit it here. See, we are getting this message called auth or email already in use. So we can add an alert here. Alert which says error dot message. So just add it here and use same email and password. See, the email is already in use by another account. So this is sign up. So create one more function for login. So const log in. We will use same params. We will use the same data here, same input fields and all. So in the login, we need one more button. So create one button here that will point to sign in. We can make this as sign up to, yes, but they are overlapped. So what we can do is, we are doing submit button here. Okay, make this as login button, and here just add a new styling of login button. Make the same style here, but it will be the same. So make the left to 60% and this to be 40%. Fine. Don't mind the design. We are just using the functionalities here. So in the index.js, we are using this registered. So make it as login for sign in method. And here, let's add the email and password here like this. And we can just say auth dot sign in with email and password. I think the spelling is right. It also takes two parameters, email and password. So all the things here will be the same. So just copy this then in catch block and paste it. Let's add an alert here as well. Okay, alert will not work here. Fine. So now let's try to log in. So enter the email and password and click sign in, but open the console first to check if it works or not. Sign in. See, we're getting all the data here which says auth, display name, email and email verified and all the data. What if we enter the wrong email that has not been registered yet? We will get an error in the alert. So sign in. See, we are getting this. There is no user according to this identifier. The user may have been deleted and whatnot. So it's working. And if we enter the right email but the wrong password, you will get the password error. Sign in. See, the password is invalid or the user does not have password. Fine. So it's working fine. The email and sign up. Now let's see how to use the save data to Firebase Firestore. So open this Firestore database here. Oh my god, chocolates. So create database and start in test mode here because we are testing it. So it's all the things they are fine. So it's initializing and provisioning Cloud Firestore. Meanwhile, we can create a function here. So it will say const save data for save function. We will use this method to save data. So let's comment all this code here because we have already seen how this works. So comment all this input. No, don't comment it. We will reuse it. So create one more button here. So it should be known as save data. We can comment these buttons here because we don't need them anymore right now. So save data. So we will just save the email and password in the Firestore database. That will work. Fine. So we have saved data here and add this function to this button. So on click this function of save data. So we need the user and email. We need the email and password, I mean. So add it here and it will work. If we click save button here, this should get the email and password in our function here. So to add data, we can just do this simple thing. So if we check the documentation here, it's listed here. I will leave the link in the description. So we have to add the collection name first. So db.collection. So collection should be the user's collection. Then we will use an add keyword to add data in the collection. So first thing is our email. So add the email as email. Then we have a password. So add password as password. Then if it's successful, we can just use a then block. So it takes a docref and we can just console.log this data. So let me use this data, copy this and just replace the console log here. And if it fails, we will use catch block. Okay, so now let's try this. Our database is empty, you see here. Let's add one email and some password. So if you open the console and save data, we will get the message called document written with ID, this ID. If we check Firebase Firestore and refresh this once, we should get the data here with that same ID that we saw here. See, it's same and the email and password is listed here in the collection. So for example, this is an array. This one is an object and in this object we have the email and password fields. Let's add one more. Change some data and save. See, the another one is here and it should be here as well. See, so our add doc is functioning properly. Now let's see how to read data from Firestore. So to read data, let's add a function here as well. So const read data and just add the function here. Wait, in the index.html. So we add a button here. Button, this should be read. Wait a sec. Read data. Just say on the on click event, on click, there should be read data here. Say when we have a button called read data, that will correspond to this function call. So to read data, it's very simple. So we have to just say db.collection and in the collection let's pass the collection name, which is called users. The collection name is users here, and you see here we will be using a get keyword here to get the data. So we can use get, and it will send us some data back. So we can just say dot then to see in the console the upcoming data. We can make it as document, or let's make it simply data. Then we will just say console.log data. So if we open the console now and click this read data button, get is not defined. Wait a sec, let me see what is the problem. Okay, get is not defined. Okay. If we just copy this and let me just replace all these things here. Wait. So get is not defined because we have to use a dot here before this get. That's why. So save it and check again. Read data. We are getting this data here, but it's not clear to us what is this. So let me just filter it out. So data to docs we can do. We have to get the documents inside. So we will use docs. So read data again. So we are getting this array here, and inside this array we have to find our data. So we'll map these arrays. So we will say map. It will send us an item as callback. Then we will just say console, or we will just say return the item. So we will return the item.data. So this item has a data I mean. So if we save and check again, we should get these two array objects for the both fields here, for both objects. But the thing is, we're not getting the ID. So we should get the ID by just adding ID, and this should be item.id. So click create again. They should have an ID here. See this unique ID for both documents. So this is how we read data in Firebase Firestore. Now in the third thing, let's see how to update data. So just say const one more function called update data equals to this arrow function, and we will do the collection name here. So we will add the collection name. Then we have to specify the collection ID. So we have two IDs here, this one and this one. So we can just say doc keyword, and we have to pass the ID here. So just pass the ID, this one, and then we have to update it. So we can say update, and we have to add the update data to update first. So let's first make the email to be something else. So make it Ashish is a good boy 1 2 3 @gmail.com. So the password should be same. So if we make the password to, okay, let's make this as 1 2 3 4 5 6. Fine. So we will update the which field? We will update the first field. This Nishant is 4401 @gmail.com. So we need to pass this function to a button. So we can create one button here. It's just for showing you update one field, and just pass the button here of on click. This function update data. Save it. So we have to get a promise based response. So just use dot then, and we will just say alert data updated. Save it and let's check it now. If we click update one field, this Nishant as 4401 should be this email that we wrote here in the email. Click update one field. Okay, it's not defined. So I guess we have to use it in a string like this. So now let's try again. Update one field. See, updated here. And if we check here, you see this email is now Ashish is a good boy and blah blah blah. So we can change it again to 1 2 3 to 1 2 3 4. And if we save it, update again. So it's updated, and here also 1 2 3 is now 1 2 3 4. So it's done. Now let's delete this field. So make this as delete data, and one more button here to delete this field. So make this as this function called delete data. Paste it and save the file here, and here also. But let's delete this field called nishandas440@gmail.com and the password 126. So we will just say delete. Sorry, we will say doc here. It's fine. We will just use this delete. So delete, and we will save it, and let's try this now. So if we click this, wait, change the name to delete one field, and click this, it's updated, but this should be deleted. Yes, but it's not here anymore, this field that we deleted right now. Okay, we deleted the wrong field. Fine, doesn't matter. So we have deleted this field of this ID, so it's not here anymore. So let me just show you again one more. So make this as where, here there should be data deleted. So let me add one field here. So add an email and some password, save data, saved here, and it should be here. So we have two fields, this and this. We can read them. If we click this read data, we are getting two fields here. We can update the one field. So we are using this ID to update. So let me use this ID. So if we read it again and copy the ID here. So let me get this ID of 6CA whatever, and we will update this field of Nishan as 440@gmail.com. So save the index.js file, and this should be updated. Wait, not this. This should be updated. If we click update, this name should be Ashish is a good boy 1234@gmail.com. So let's try it. Update one field, and we will get this message called data updated in the alert, and this should be C. Ashish 123. Sorry, Ashish is a good boy 1234. And if we delete the field here, so this field will be deleted. But the thing is, we don't have the ID of this field, so it's not here. If we click delete, we should get an error. So we can just say .catch. So it takes a parameter called error. So we can just say console.log error. If we now delete this field here, we should get the error of data deleted. Wait, okay, this ID is not present, but how can I delete? I think something is wrong here. Doesn't matter. So let's replace the ID with this SWB and whatever. So read data and just copy the ID, this one, and place it here in one quote, not two quotes. Save, and we will delete this field called second one. Nishan, there's 440@gmail.com, password 126, and the ID is SWBQTMG. So click delete one field, deleted, and this shouldn't be here. See, we only have one field. If we delete this one also, we have to pass the ID here like this. So delete this field as well. And if we read data, we will have empty object here, empty array I mean, and nothing here. So our four operations are now working, which are create, read, update and delete, as well as the registered and login methods. So we have done auth, and we have done database, Firestore database I mean. So next up is Angular. So first of all, let's create one Angular project. Make sure that you have installed the Angular CLI using this command. And to create a new app, we will use the command called ng-new app name, my app. So paste it here, and let's change the app name to, but wait, let's first change the directory to Angular here. Then we will use this command. This should be Angular Firebase. Save it, and it will create a project in the Angular folder. It will take some time. So we want the routing, yes. We want CSS. So it's installing all these things here. So let's wait for it to install. And the Angular app has now been created. So now let's change the folder. Just do cd, what is it? Angular Firebase. So Angular hyphen Firebase. Enter. Now we are in that folder here. So it has so many files here that I'm not going to explain to you what are these. But we have to install one package here called Angular Fire. This is the official package for Angular. So you see, it's asking us this thing, so you can say yes or no, doesn't matter. So it will do some interesting things here. So yes, we want to proceed. It's installing the package. See, it's written here that the official Angular library for Firebase, and they are here. I will show you how to use this all things. So it's installing the packages. We must wait for it. And now it's asking a few things here. So we want authentication here. Authentication. So select. We don't need deployment. Okay, just select authentication. We don't need deployment, so leave it for now. We need Firestore. Okay, we need authentication and Firestore. Then enter. It will automatically configure the project for this authentication and Firestore, I mean. So enter your email account. Yes, this is my email account. See, it's asking the project name. So all the projects from Firebase has been listed here. So let me choose the Firebase frontend project here. This project here from the Firestore cloud. So yes, we need this app. What would you like to call your new app? So make it, wait a sec, we did something wrong. We have to start again because we didn't need the new app. We had already an app here that we can use. So that's a mistake I did for a very long time. After a long time, I mean. So we don't need deployment, this authentication and Firestore. Enter. Yes. Email is this. Let's choose the project name Firebase frontend. So we need this. So just use arrow keys to navigate. We don't need to create a new app. If you don't have any app here in Firestore, you can create it. So it's downloading configuration data and it's done. And if we check our, what is it? Environment, where is it? In SRC environments folder, environment.ts, we will see our storage environments. See, in this we have project ID, all these things that is coming from this project overview. So let me show you. If we scroll down to this, you see all these things are now here automatically. So it's a relief in the both production and development TypeScript environment file. So now what we have to do is start our app. So we can just say ng server, enter. So let me go to Firestore Database. Sorry, let's go to authentication first, because first of all we will handle authentication. So it's starting. Let's wait for the app to start. It will take some time, maybe 1 day or 2 days. Then I will come back. So our project has now been compiled. So let's open it on the localhost 4200. Okay. So open it here. Localhost 4200. Let's bring it at the front. So close the app module.ts. Let's check app.module.html, app.component.html. So we also don't need this terminal. So close the panel. Remove. So we can remove it or leave it. So let's remove it. All the HTML data here. And in the TS, you will see we are getting import all the things are being imported automatically, like environment, get Firestore, get auth, and all that we chose before. So let me just format this and close this. Open app.component.ts. So this is the component for this HTML. So we write HTML here, and here we write the logic. Yes. So let's get data first, or okay. So let's handle authentication first. So we need to input field. So let's make it an input of placeholder. This should be email, and make it an auto close. See, we have the email field here. Then make one for password. Input placeholder password. Save them. We have input and password, email and password fields. And what we can do is we can just copy the previous input from this page. So just copy this div and place in the HTML file like this. So remove the buttons, comment buttons, and let's just add the styling from index.css. So copy all this styling and place into this app.component.css and save. And save this as well. Now they are here, but they are not in the center. So what we can do is we can't use body here. So copy these things and or cut it and paste it in the let's do this. So just copy main class name and replace body, and it will be in the center like this. So let's give them a margin little bit. So what we can do in this input of what is the class name? We don't have class name here. So give them a class name of input fields and copy the input class name fields and add it here. So let's give them a little bit margin between them. So margin 10 pixels. Fine. We have some margin between them. Okay, what we can do, we don't need the input label, so remove them. It's fine without them. So let me just now give this inputs a class name, because it's maybe hard for you to see the input fields here. But if it is not, it's then good. So class input field. So don't confuse between these fields and this field. This is one field and this is plural fields. Singular and plural. I mean singular and plural. Copy the input fields, and here we can just do a little bit styling. So width should be 40. No, sorry. Width should be 100. Let's make it 100. Height should be 40 px. Okay. Why is this not working? Okay, we need one dot also here. Fine. So if we refresh, okay, it's too ugly. So make this 220 height and 300 input. So this now look fine, I think. Now we need a button. So we can just make a button here. Button. So this should be, wait a second, who is this? No, when is this? So button should be, let's say, sign in, and one more for sign up. Sign up. See, we have two buttons. Give them a class also, button, or we can just do here submit button. We already have, so we don't need to use this. We can remove these buttons. We will just say button and width 30 px. 30 will be small, I think, not 30. Let's make it 100. And height should be 20 px. Fine. Also margin a little bit, 10 pixels. So our sign up button and the sign in button is now created. Make the height to 40. Okay, this looks fine also. One more thing to do is cursor is pointer here, so make it. So we have sign in button and sign up button. Now we need to get data from these two fields. So let's do that. So I have wrapped the whole code in a form tag and I'm using this login form as ng form. Then on function called handle register, which is sending the login form value. Here we have ng model in the both fields and we can collect our value here when we click sign up or sign in. So now what we have to do is we have to do what? We have to import a few things. So first import, what do we have to import? From Firebase, wait, not Firebase. We have to use Angular Fire, then auth. And from here, let's import a few things. First is auth, second is create user with email and password, and third one is sign in with email and password. These three things. So let me break this down. The imports here like this, and we have to make a constructor here. So constructor, and we have to create one auth type here. So auth will be of auth type, this like this. So remove console log from the values here, and it's here. So what we have to do is we have to just do this thing which is called create user with email and password. Then we have to pass this auth, then the email. So email is our value dot email, and third thing is that value dot password, and it will work. Wait, value dot password. Why I cannot type properly? Fine, but we have to use there this auth, not direct auth. And what is the error? It does not exist on the app component. So make this as public. I am doing public. Now it is fine here. We can make it private, but public is fine. So now we can sign up, and it will return some data. So we will just catch it. So we will just say response, and the type here will be any, and we will just say console.log or just say alert response. Okay. So we have to console it here, not just show in the alert. So console.log response.user. But if it fails, we will just catch it. So catch error, we will show in the console. Sorry, we will show in the alert. So alert, this should be error dot message. Then just save it and let's sign up now. In the Firebase, we have one email which is nishan440@gmail.com. So we can sign up or sign in. So let's first sign up because it is create user. Enter the password. Sign up here. See, auth email already in use. We are getting this error here. And if we sign in, we will the same because the both are the same. So remove sign in button. But if you sign up with different email, it will work. So let me see. Let me show you. Open the console, clear it, and change the email a little bit. Add the password. Sign up. We are getting all the data here, you see. And in this one, it will be updated in the Firebase Authentication. See. So now let's add the login. So just replicate the form or just leave the form here. Comment out this handle register function. Create one more function called handle login. Just like this. So it will accept the value. And I will just pass the function here, not handle register. So fail to compile because we have to save this VS code. And we will just use this second property called sign in with email and password. So it will take the same things. First is the auth. So just copy this auth, value of email and password, and we are done. Let's also copy this then and catch block. Put it before this, after this, sorry, not before. Format this. Now let's try to log in. What is the error? Okay, we did something wrong. So I guess we are using one extra curly braces. Now it will work. Fine. So enter the email and password. So email is Nishant as some password. Sign up. Okay, let's make this button as sign in. Now. So click sign in, enter the email and password. If we open the console, it should work because we have the correct email and password. See, it's returning us this data, all the data that we get from Firebase. If we enter the wrong email, which doesn't have, which is not present in the authentications, we will get an error in the alert. See, auth or user not found. But if we enter the wrong password but the right email, we will still get an error. Auth wrong password. See, it's now working. So our authentication is done. So now let's see add document in the Firestore database. So we need few changes. Make this as add data. Add data. Let's change the function name. This should be add data. And remove all these things from here and also this previous sign in method. So we don't need this public auth and auth instance, and remove the import from fire auth. Then we have to add this data to this function. So if we enter some name and password, they should be here in the console if we check it. Now let's import a thing here. So import. So it will be from Angular /fire, and the thing to import is, let me break it down first. So first thing to import is, what do we import? Add doc. Second is Firebase. Okay, we have to also use Angular /Firebase. Sorry, Firestore, not Firebase. Then add doc is done. We have to import Firebase. Sorry, not Firebase, Firestore to initialize our Firestore. Then collections keyword to specify the collections here. So add these three things first. Then in the constructor, we have to add the instance of Firestore. So we can say public Firestore and Firestore like this. Save. So you see, we only have one account here, one document. So let's add one more. So to add, we just use the collections first. So const db instance to select our database. So we can have multiple collections here. So let's select the collection we have to add data inside. So we can just do, we have added collection here, collection like this. Then just pass this Firestore instance. So this dot Firestore. Second thing it takes is the collection name. So it's users, and we are done here. Then we have to pass this tb instance in add doc function with the data we have to add. So pass tb instance and the values. So values like this. Value, we have single null value, fine. So we can use the then block. If it is successful, we will just say alert data sent. But if it fails, we will just say dot catch block. Wait, some error it takes as param, and we can throw an alert which will say error dot message. Now let's try this. Oh, what is this? Why we are getting this? Never translate this site. So let's add one email and some password for there to send 1 2 3 4 5 6. Add data send, and let's check here. See, we have another data here that says the email and password. We can add more fields, so let's add more fields. So make this as name, input name, placeholder as name, ID as name. We don't need ID here, but it's fine. Type will be text, and that's fine. We have 3 fields now. So if we send it, we will have our third field in the document here. So let's try this. Are we missing anything? No, we're not missing anything. Let's add the name, the email, then the password. Add data, sent, and it will be here with the third new input field, which is name. See, we have all these 3 things here. So that's how we add data in Firestore using Angular. Now let's read the documents from the Firestore. So import getDocs function. Let's create a collection here in the constructor. And what we can do is we can create one more function here. So we will call getDoc or getData like this. We can just create a collection here, and then we will just pass the collection to this getDocs function. So the collection is DB instance. So pass this here and it will return some data. So we call then block, and we'll send us the response, and we will just do console dot log response dot data dot doc dot not doc docs docs dot map. It will take an item again, and then we can just return the item like this with the ID of the item. So make the ID as item dot ID. What is the problem here? It is not callable. So what we are doing wrong here? Okay, we are using return. Fine. So what we can do is just open the JavaScript file here in the JS, and then just copy this block of then data and replace it. It will be the same, but okay, we have to get the data here. We can just say item dot data. Fine. If we open the console, but we have to call the function here in the constructor. We will use this keyword for the reference. And if we save, well, let's check the console. Refresh. We are getting the 3 arrays here. You see, password with the password, email, and the name if it has a name. So now we can store it in a variable. So let's make a variable here. So public data, it will be an array. So make any, fine, and just initialize it like this. Save, and if we just store this data here, it will work. So we can just do data or this dot data equals to this response with an spread operator to spread it inside this data, and it's getting stored in the data variable. So we have to just open or just copy this public data, and here let's add in the after the form. So we can comment this all the things here and just do an eval tag inside an li list tag. Let's loop through the array. So we will just do ng for then it takes a item. So let's say let item of this array of data. Then we can just do item, okay, 2 curly brackets. I think we can just do item dot name. Save. We are writing the name because we only have one name here. So if we make it this is email, or let's add like this. So first will be the email, third will be the password. Save, and we will get our email, the password, and if we have a name, we will get that too. So we are saying all this. Let me zoom it in, and you will see also the email, the password, and the name for the respective lists. So read doc is also done. Now let's update the data. So we need a button here first. So add a button, and this will be called update. Save it, and let's create, or let's import two things here, which will be called doc and uh, update doc. Doc will be used to specify which document to update, but and update doc will be used to update the document that we chose using this doc. So create a function const update data. Okay, not const file. That's the error. Update data, just update data. It will take a ID of string, type string. Fine. Then we have to add the button, sorry, function to this button. So on click, not on click, just a click, and just make the update data function, and the ID will be passed here. So item.id, we have to receive it here. We are saving it, so save the file. If we console the ID, we should get the ID of that field we are clicking on. ID. Open the console. Let's try this. Click update for this first field. It's getting here, this one and this one. Here we are getting the ID, and we will not use dynamic imports. I mean, we will not click the button and its value will be populated in a for. We will just update it statically using the static data that we want. So what we can do here is we can specify which document to update first. So make const data to update equals to, we will use doc keyword here. It will take three parameters. The two of them is called this Firestore instance and the collection name. Third one will be the ID to select which document to update. Then we will just use update doc function, and we will pass two things here, data to update and the data we want to update. So let's add the name here. So let's add the name of Ashish. Fine. Save this. If it is successful, we will throw a then block here, and we can just do alert data updated. And if it fails, we will just catch it and say error alert couldn't, or just throw the error dot message here. Fine. Save. Now let's update any field. So here we don't have the name of Ashish, so it will be added if you click update here. And one more thing we can do is we can just call this get data function after we are updating, because then it will automatically refresh the page and get all the data. So make this as this dot get data to call the function here. So now click the update of first here, click it, update it, and see the Ashish name is popped up here. If we change it to something else, let's say Uday, and click another one, let's say this last one, this should be here, the name of Uday in third field. So updated, and it's here. If we click the previous one, which has already the name Nishant, it will be here, the Uday name, not Nishant. So we can change it like this. Okay, the fourth one we will delete. So we also need one more button here, so let's add it. It will be simple as well. So delete. The function name will be delete data. So just save the file and create a function here. Delete data. Okay. Then we have to add the collection. Sorry, we have to document which document to update. So make this as document data to delete. Simple. We have to import the delete doc as well here. So delete doc. So just add it here. So we can do delete doc and pass this here. Simple. And the rest will be then and class block, the usual things. Let's also get the ID here, the ID of string, because we also need the ID, and add it in the params. Save, and we will see a delete function button here. If we click delete here, make this as data deleted first. If we delete here, this should be deleted, and it will be disappeared. If we click delete for this one, okay, let me just change the few things. Make this update here, but first let me change it to Nishant. We can change other fields as well. So if we change the email here in update, it will be updated. So let's say nishant123@gmail.com. So here in this scenario, we are updating two fields. So if we change the first, the name and email will be changed here. Click update, updated, and the email is now nishant123@gmail.com, and the password is still the password is same, but the name has been changed. So let's delete this Nishant field. Deleted, and it's not here anymore. We only have one field, and it's being updated dynamically. So our 4 operations are now done, which is called CRUD operations, as well as sign up and sign in with email account and password. So that was all about Angular and how to handle Firebase authentication and CRUD operations in Angular. Now let's handle the Firebase authentication and CRUD operations in React. So into that folder of React, we will create our application. We will just type npx. Wait, let me just zoom the terminal. Npx create React app and the app name. So make it Firebase React. Let me just see. In Angular, we have Angular Firebase. So let's make it React Firebase. And the name should be in small letters. This you should keep in mind. So let's wait for it to finish. It's creating a new app in the folder of React. So our React app has now been created and it started here. So we need to do one more thing here. So just open a terminal and just do npm install Firebase. We have to install this package, so install it and wait for it to finish. Then we have to create here two input fields. So let's create them. So remove this logo svg from here. So to create two input fields, we will just say input and placeholder as, let me make this as email, and name of email also, and the type of email as well. Sorry, type of email. Repeat it once more for the password. Make this as password, name as password, and this one as password as well. Type. Save it, and we can see to input name and email and password. So remove the class name app and replace it with the app header. Save, and let's remove the unnecessary class name like this app logo, media queries, and app link and the keyframes here at the bottom. Remove the background color here. Fine. Now give this inputs to class names or one class names, I mean for both of them. So let me just format this. So this should be, what should we call this input? Class name of input fields. So here we should give the input field some margin, 10 pixels. So we have some margin here. Let's add a button at the bottom, button to submit the form. So make this as, let's first sign up, because we will use sign up methods first. So we need here two functions in the app.js. So create them. So const handle inputs. So we will handle the both inputs at the same time. One more function to submit. So handle submit equals to this function. So the handle input, we will target it on this input field. So on change, it will take a parameter called event, and we will just send the event to this function using argument and props. Sorry, argument and params, not props. And same here. So, and in the handle submit button, we will just map it here in the button. On click handle submit. So let's create one state here. First import the use state from React. Use state from React, and we will just do a state. Let's create one state. So const data set data equals to use state. It will be an object, and it will contain two properties. So first will be the email, and it will be empty initially, then the password also empty initially. Then here we will have to get the input. So say event, we will receive it here, and let's create a new let variable. So let inputs equals to, so we will do it like this. In the inputs we will just do event dot target dot name, and if the name matches, we will store the value in the name. So if it is email, coming from this name of email, and if it is password, coming from this name password. If they are matching, we will just store them inside their respective states, object states. So email, password. So here we will just say event dot target dot value. So in this input, we are setting it inputs. Then we have to just store this data in set data. So set data, we can just say input using 3 dots to spread them. Inputs, and we have also to store the previous data, but let me show you what I mean. So if we console this, so console dot log this data, and if we enter the email and password here, it won't work perfectly. So let me show you. Open the console, enter the email and some password, sign up. See, we are only getting the password, not the email. That's because we are setting only the field of inputs, and let's say we entered the email first, then the password. So this password is overriding the email, and that's why we are saying only the password. So to fix that, we have to just pass the data as well, this data. So it will contain the current data and the previous data. So save, and now let's check, refresh, and just enter email and password, sign up. Okay, we are getting this as empty. I guess we have to pass it before inputs. So first will be the data, then the input. Now let's check email and the password. Yes, now we see we are getting this email and the password. Now we can use this in the Firestore authentication. So let's add authentication. So import. Let's import the two things from that. Wait. Oh yes. So we need the app and the database. So first let's create them. So in the source folder, create a file called Firebase config.js. And in the file, we have to just import the Firestore configuration for this project. So copy these things here and add it here. So we have to export the const app. And we need one more thing from the Firestore database. Get Firestore, which is called. So get Firestore from Firebase/Firestore. So I think the import name is correct. Get Firestore. Okay, Firestore is a single line. Single word. So we have to initialize the Firestore as well. So export const, let's make it, okay, just database equals to get Firestore and just pass the app credentials inside here, this app. Now it will work. So now let's import these two app and database in the app.js main file. Import app and database from one step back Firebase config file. Fine. So we're done here, but we have to get authentications things also. To open authentications tab first, we have two emails. So let's add one more from the React tab. So let's make this as import empty from, let's add the import first, Firebase /auth, this one. And in this curly brackets, we have to import, first is the get auth, second is the sign in with email and password for the login, and create user with the email and password for creating account here. So these three we need to create one instance for the auth. So const auth equal to get auth, and in the submit function, handle submit, we have to just call this function called create user with email and password. We will pass this auth here, auth instance, then the email and password. So we can just pass, so what's the state name, data dot email comma data dot password. So it takes three params. You already know from my previous videos for other frameworks. It takes auth, data email, and data password. I mean email and password. Then we have to use a then block to make it a successful message. So response, and we will just say console dot log response, else if it, okay, response dot data, sorry, user not data, and if it fails we can just say catch error, and this should be alert error dot message. So if we save, and now let's try to add some input. If we sign up, we will get an error because we already have this email present in the authentication. We can't create it duplicately. Sign up, you see we are getting this email auth already in use. But if we use the wrong or different email, let's say 4403, and click sign up, it will be successful. So we are getting all this data here and here. If we refresh the authentications tab, it will be here in the users. See this one. So it's done. So now let's add the sign in button. So add this as, or make the sign up as sign in, and here just replace this function of create user with email and password with this sign in with email and password. So add it here, and if we now try this, it should work. We will get the same data here. See, we are getting this data because now we are not creating the account, we are signing in. If we use the wrong email that is not in the users tab here, we will get error. So try it. See, auth user not found, but if we use the wrong password as well, we will get the password error. So make this something else that is not present in the store, this authentication, sign in, wrong password. So this is how we handle sign up and sign in method. So one thing to show you before this is, so we can store this token inside our session storage, and we can use it for our authentication. There are other methods as well. You can use them as well. So these are done. So now let's see how to send data to Firebase Firestore. So we need a few things here as well. So first will be a collection, to create a collection or to get the collection, and add doc. So first let me just import from Firebase /Firestore this. So we are importing collection and add doc. So collection may be used to specify a collection, and add doc will add data inside the collection. So let me remove this. because we will just send data from here. So we can just make this button of sign in with send or add data. We need to add one more field here called name. So let me add it here. So make the placeholder as name, name as name, type as text. Fine, we are done. And here one more object property called name, empty initially, and it's done. So now we can store our name here as well. So what we can do is in the handle submit function, we have to use first, let's create a collection. So if you open the Firestore database, we will see our collection name here. So it's called users. So we need to add the collection name. So we can do it like this: const, let's say database, which database to edit, users to edit, and then we have to pass this. Where is it? This database. Where is it? This database here. Okay, wait. First will be database, then the users. So now save them. It takes two params. We will use, okay, let's make it DB instance. Because we have two databases now. So we will use add doc, then we will pass the DB instance and then the data. So our data is this data. So simply pass it like this and it's done. So if it is successful, we will then call a then block, and here we will just show an alert that says that data sent, or else if it fails, we will catch the error using catch block, which will show us an error. So alert error dot message. Save, and now let's try. Enter the name, the email, and some password. Add data. Data sent, and if we check here, it should be here. Wait. If we refresh this, okay. Okay, wait a second. Wait a second. In the Firebase config, yes, but we are not getting the data here. So we are sending it. Where is it? Where is it? We are sending the data with DB instance. Wait a sec. Add doc. Is it add doc? Yes, it's add doc. Okay, now let's try once more. Let's make it Nishant Kumar 2 and then add data. Sent. Yes, it's now getting saved here. It's Nishant Kumar 2 and the same email and password. So it's done. We now know how to add data here. So next up is the get data from Firestore. So we will create a use effect hook. First a function, but so const get data equals to this arrow function, and here we will write our logic to get data. So we need one more thing called get docs. We will just use this get docs and pass the instance here. So the instance is called this DB instance. It will specify the document name and the database. So pass it, then simply create one use effect hook, or you can do it like this also. So on the button, just pass the function. So if we click the button of add data, or let's say get data, this function will run and it will get our data. But we have to make it an asynchronous function. And here we will have to await this. And we will store the data inside one variable. So let's say const data equals to await get docs DB instance. And we can console this data like this. But we have to map it. I will show you why. Open the console, click get data. We are getting all the data that we cannot read. So let me just filter it out. So in the data, we have the docs and we will map it. It will take an item param. Then we will simply return ... item dot data and then the ID of the item. So it will be item dot ID. Now let's check get data. So we are getting three objects in an array from here. So this is how we read data in the Firebase Firestore. So the next up is update data. So let me just use the function here as well. Or okay, fine. So okay, let's now create a new function. So const update data. And let me just figure or just cut. Okay, let me first do this. So let's get back the add doc function and add the here. Not get data. Okay, what I'm doing? What the hell is I'm doing? So update data will be an arrow function. So we have the handle submit, which is add data. So make it add data here. Fine. We're not running it at the moment, but it's fine. So to update data, we will just use a function called doc. So it's not a function. It's a it's a function. So we will specify which document to update. So let's say we will use a new variable called let data to update. So it will take the doc and here we will pass three things. So the database, the collection name, sorry, document, what is it? This, the database, the collection name and the ID. So we have to specify which document to edit, whether it is this one or second or third one. So we will get the ID from these fields. So let me just create one new button here at the bottom here. But the thing is, okay, what we can do is let's map this data first. It's simple as well. So we have to create one state of, let's say, array and set array. Use state and array, empty array, and then just set the set array here on the read data. We don't have to console it. Then we will just map compile with problems. I does not define, fine, we will address it later. So where is it? Array. We have to map it. So let's map it here. So array.map, it will take an item param, anything you want to write, you can write it here. You will return something. So let's return 3p or first a div as a parent, then 3p tags. So I will just say item dot name, email and password. So it will loop through that array just like we did in the Angular version. So it will be an email now and here it will be an password. So in the Angular we have used ng4, but here we are using this array map to loop through the array. So in the button, so we need one button here as well. So make a button that will send data to that function. So button on click, if we click the button, it will just send the data. So we can just say, what is the function name? Update data. Update data, and we will just set the ID. So item.id in the update field, update data function. Receive the ID here and it will work fine. So it's now here. So we are adding the which data to update. Wait a sec. Let's add the name here as well for the button. So update. If we refresh, okay, we are not getting this here. Why? Array.map, it's here. Okay, let's remove this input fields and see, or just comment these. Okay, we have get data, but not this update. Why? We are mapping the array and we are returning it here, but we cannot see this. That's why is that? Okay. App header. if we choose the app header and if we remove all this or just remove the app header class, what is the thing here? Why we can't see our array mapping? So array.map items, it will return some div and a button inside. Okay, just copy this or cut this and remove all the things from here. One more div, we need to close it, and then the okay, if we just open the console, let's see what we get. Refresh. Array is not here. We are setting it here. Okay, the problem is we're not setting it here. Okay, that's a Blender mistake I did. So revert all the things back here. So let's create one use effect hook. So use effect. So we are setting the data, but we're not loading it when the app loads. So we will use the use effect hook here. And we will just pass an empty array to make it an empty dependency array. And we will just get data here. Call the get data function inside. And it will work now. You see, we are getting all these three fields here. Name, email, and password. But. So if we refresh, you cannot see our fields. If we are returning this item array.map get data. Okay. Why we cannot see our fields? Item.name, fine. If we remove the class here, okay, now we are seeing. Okay, I guess it's because the color of the font is white. So remove the color, and now we can see this. We can see our name, our email, and the password. So let me just remove these things first, because we don't need at the moment them. So if we click update on this field, this ID will be passed down to this function here and it will update. So let's create a, or let's just import some things here. So we need to import update doc from Firestore. So we also need one more to delete the document. So delete doc should be here. So to update doc, we will just do update data, update doc, and we will pass data to update and the data inside. So let's just make the updation like this. So we will change the name as first name should be not Nishant Kumar, just Nishant. Let's add the email to be something else. So okay, if we copy and let's change some small details. 440123. Okay, let's update this to only, and if it is successful, we will just show an message called alert data updated. But if it fails, we will catch it and say it will take an error, and I will say console.log error or alert also. So if we now click the field of update here, so this ID will pass down to the function for this what is it, for this property. So wait, one more thing, only just last thing, give an HR tag here for the horizontal line. So it's now getting separated with this line. This is one field, this is one field, and this is the last field. Click update here. This ID will be passed to the function of update data, and it will be passed to this let variable called let data to update. It is specifying which document to target first using the ID parameter, and it's just updating the data using this let variable and the data. I guess you know what I mean. If it is successful, we will just have to call the get data to get the updated data. If we click the first field, this should be Nishant, not Nishant Kumar, and the email will change to this. So let's update here. Updated, and see, it's now Nishant and the email has been changed as well. If we click, or if we make this as Ashish and email is something Ashish is blah blah whatever. So if we click this update, they should change to Ashish and the email should be this. So update changed. You can also change the password. So if you make the password to be and string of ABC DEF and update, this name will be the same with the email and the password only will change alone. Update updated and the password has been changed now here. So we can do it for Uday as well. If we update, all the three fields will be changed. See, they are being changed. So this is how we update data in the Firestore. The fourth one is called delete data. So we will just say const delete data, and here also it will take the ID and delete data to update or make it data to delete. So it takes three params just like the update doc. So we are importing delete doc here, and we will just have to pass this data to delete in the delete doc function, nothing else. And followed by this then in catch block in case of success and errors, make it data deleted, and we have to pass the function in an ID in a button also. So make a button here. This will be delete, and on click of the button we will just say delete data and pass the item.id. Save. ID is not defined, so let's receive it here in the delete data function ID. So we now have a delete button. So delete, they should be deleted, and see it's not here. If we check the Firestore, it's getting deleted in real time. If we delete the second one of Ashish, deleted, and it's not here, and it's not here as well. So we have added all the four methods of CRUD operations: adding, deleting, get data, and update data. Creation, creating, reading, updating, and deleting. So that's how we perform CRUD operations in React and authentications using email and password sign up. You can also add one more sign up method called Google authentication or GitHub authentication, and it is very easy. Fine. So let me now just comment out or remove the comments from these codes and save it. So we can just add data here and it will show up in the bottom. So if we enter the name Nishant Kumar, some email and some password, if we add data. So let me just make the button here to be add data. Where is it? And the function name as add data. If we now click add data, this will be here. Data sent. Okay, we have to use the read data here first in the add doc. So where is it? Get data function. So if we add some more, Nishant 1, 2, 3, and all the things will be same. Sent, and it's here. So let me show you from the starting. Delete, add some data, add data, send, and it's here. Let's make it as Ashish. This one should be Ashish 440@gmail.com, or just make it 420. Short subis. Add data, sent, it's here, and that's how we add data. We can update them. It's being updated to this data we are adding here. You can make it dynamic by passing data to this button and the function. Passing data to this input fields. So I'm not going to do that. So that's how we do all the things in Firebase and React. For Firebase and React. So let's learn how to authenticate our next app with Firebase. We will use Google and GitHub authentication plus email and sign up. We will also see how to send data or receive data, which is also called CRUD operations in next app. So let's start. First thing to do is we have to create our next app. So we can use this command npx create next app latest version. So just paste the command here. So let's add the name of the app. So it should be next CRUD and auth. Okay, this looks fine. Then add. So it's downloading all the packages from the library from Vercel. Then what we have to do is create an app in Firebase. So let's create it. So let's say next auth CRUD. Fine. Continue. We don't need analytics. Just create a project here. So our project is getting created, and here also in the React app. So wait a second or wait a minute, then continue. So our Firebase project has been created here. Now what we have to do is create an app. So to create an app, just type here CRUD auth. Just type CRUD auth, fine. And here let's change the folder. So let's go into that project folder which is called next auth or next CRUD and auth. Fine. So here we have pages, we have index, our main page, we have our node modules that contains all our dependencies, we have package.json that contains all the list of packages, yarn lock, I don't know what this is, git ignore to ignore node modules and all the files to ignore when push to git. So now what I do is just install Firebase here. So open the terminal and just type npm I Firebase. So we need this command in order to Firebase to work. Meanwhile, let's also create one file here. So just create Firebase config.js. So this will contain all this configuration data here. So just copy these things and paste it here. Remove the comments. Okay, let me remove the comments. So we are already importing the app here. So we need to export this from the folder. So say export const app. Now we can use this app in our project. Okay, now we have to do in this home page. Where is it? This one. Okay. But before that, let's create a folder which is known as layout. Okay, wait. Layouts. Inside, create a file called index.js. So this will contain our layout for all the pages. So we will create two pages. So one is for registration, one is for the home page. So we don't need index right now. So just what can we do? Let's create two pages. So we already have index which will serve as the home page. So let's change it first. So we don't need all this code here. So remove them. Not this head, though we need the head. Remove everything inside the main tag. So remove it. Then save. And let's change the title here. This should be next CRUD auth. So CRUD stands for create, read, update and delete. So continue to console here. Now let's define our authentication methods. So click get started here. We will use email and password. So enable this. And we have to use the web. Okay, we don't need this passwordless. We don't need this right now. So save it. Plus let's add two more provider. So Google, enable, save. Then let's also add GitHub. we will use sign in for GitHub and Google. So next one should be GitHub. Where is it? This one. But for this we need a client ID and client secret. So just go to github.com and go to settings. Here we will have an option developer settings. Open OAuth apps and let's create a new login OAuth app. So let's make it CRUD auth. Homepage URL, let's make it localhost or this URL here. So first let's start the app. So we have to start the app using npm run dev. So it's running on localhost 3000. So just copy this URL and put it here in the homepage URL. Then we need the callback which we should get from Firebase. So copy this auth URL and paste it. Then registered application. So it's returning us a client ID that we need to use it here and a client secret. So we need to generate a new client secret. Let me enter the password. Okay, it's wrong. I always forgot my password. Okay, it's still wrong. Let's try this. Okay, it's now fine. So we need this client secret. So just copy this using the copy symbol or icon and paste it. Then save it. So we have enabled email and password, Google and GitHub. So what could we do now? So we are now opened here in the localhost 3000. So let's create the layouts page. Before that, let's give this home a title of h1, which is called home, and it will show up here. You see it's showing up here. Now let's do what should we do now? So create one more page. It should be register.js. Let's make it small r. Fine. One more we need for login.js. So we have registered component and login component, and in the index we are fine here. So what we have to do, create a layout here for the route. The first thing to do is importing. So import, let's say, router from next router. So we don't have to use React router because it's not React, it's Next, and it comes with the router predefined router. I mean, now we have to create a function here. So called export const, let's say, layout. So we're exporting this constant layout and we can use it. This will accept some props, and then inside a div we can just say router. Okay, wait, not router, we don't need router, we need link. Sorry, link. Wait a second. Import link from next link. Then we have to wrap our routes in a link. So link it to, wait a second, let me check what is the command for linking. So when new deployment next link, click this. Okay, we have to use href. Next link href. Let's type the link for the home page first. It should be just a slash. Sorry, first add a register. Fine. If we check our app, or if we go to register, so let's add a component here. So export default function register. Then let's return something. Let's return a div first. Inside, let's add an h1. It should be saying register. Save. If we now go to registered page, so not this. Okay, let's go to registered page now. We can see the registered text here. You see it's now reflecting. Let's do the same for the login. Just make this as login and this also login. let's import the styles from index, which is called home.js. So this index I mean. So first import styles and add it here. So make it in the center. This is all the text. Then what can we do? Just add the main here. So in the div, wait, just copy this div till the footer and paste it here. Just make this as register and just copy this again and paste it here. Wait a second. Head is not defined, so I guess we have to import head as well. Head and image in register page. Now it's working fine. Save and do the same for login. Just change the text to login. Where is it? This one. And the default function name login. Now if we go to login, we have to add the import for login. Sorry, we have to add the link for login. So make it login. And let's add login here. So we have the login text here and register text here. Add one more for the home page. Make it, let's say, home. And if we go to home, we should see the home text at the center. Okay, this is not found. I guess why. So if we open home, wait a second. It's not home, it's index. So let's change it to home.js. We have to change the input. Okay, it's automatically changed, I guess. So we have now the layout here and we are passing this. So we need to return the data as well. So wait a second. Okay, it's working fine. So okay. Now this is done. We have to import this index, this Firebase config file in the home page. So let's import. So just say import. So it should say from Firebase config. So we have to import the app. So import app from Firebase config in the home page. So it's working fine. And we can see our footer here, you see. Powered by Virtual. Now let's create our registered page first. Then we will move to home page. So close all these things. So in this page called register.js, let's add the styling and the data. So let's just remove footer. We don't need it here. Save. Let's go to registered page. Register. Save. And it's here. So what we have to do now is we don't need image import here. So let's import the Firebase config file here. So import app from Firebase config. Fine. Auto imported. Then we have to create text inputs. Two text inputs. So just create them. So we will say input and input it once more. So what we have to do is we give this input a class, input a placeholder of, this should be email and second one should be password. Password. Save. We have email and password. So let's style them a little bit. So make this as the class name of input box. Input box, fine. And here also in the second input, break it down like this. And then save. Okay. Save it. Now let's style it a little bit. So in this file called styles.home.module.css, just say, wait, we have to just add here. So input box, we can just say, let's say width to be 200 pixels, but it will not work because we have to use using styles. So just say styles dot input, what is it, the class input box. Save. Okay, the problem here is we have to use it in this camel case, then it will work. So just say input box. So it's now wide. So repeat the same for the second input for password. Save. They are both now wide. Now let's add some height. Make it 30 pixels. Fine. Let's also give them a little bit space between them. So just say margin 5 pixels. Now we have email and password. Fine, this looks better. We can type email and type password. So now what we have to do is create a state. So let's create two states. So first will be const, let's say email and password. Sorry, set email. Use state empty string, then const password and set password. Then we have to just create a use state hook here, empty string. Now let's set them. So in the email we have to use onChange event. onChange event, it takes a event, and we can just do set email event dot target dot value, and just copy and put the same here. But this time here this should be set password. Now we can get email and password if we type here. Also let's set the value. So value should be the state of email here. So email, and this one should be state of password. Wait. So value, this should be password. Save, and it's done. Now we can get our email and password inputs properly. Now let's create a function here. So const, this should be sign up. Then we have to just import two functions from Firebase. So it should be import first, add the import, then from Firebase auth. So we will have to import two things, which is called get auth and sign in with or sign up. Wait a second. Register. What is the method for registering with email? It's first is sign up with pop-up. Let me see the method to sign in with email and password. It's not register, it's not sign up, it's, wait a sec, let's search in Google sign up for Firebase. Sign up method for Firebase Authentication. So let's go down. We have to use web. Okay, create user with email and password. Fine, I get it now. So we will use these two. You see it's here, auth and create user with email and password. Then let's create an instance of auth. So just say const auth equal to get auth. Save it and just copy get create user with email and password. Then you have to just pass the auth, then the email and then the password. So now if we are signed in, we can just throw us to the page of home if we sign up successfully. So we need to create a router instance. So just import use router from next router. Then create an instance of router. So say const router equal to get router. What is it? Sorry, use router. Then we can just say router dot push to the home page. So if we see in the where is it? In the layout page, the route of home is /home. So it will push us back to that home route. So save. Now we need to create a button here that will send us to that page. So just just create a button and say sign up. So we have the button here. Let's style a button a little bit. Make it a class name of styles.button or button, fine. So in the button class name, we will just say button. Let's make width same as this, or 100 pixels will be fine, I guess. Let's try 100, fine. Width 20 pixels to 200, fine. Let's add the sorry what I'm doing. This should be height, not width. Too much, so I guess it was right. 20 was right. So we have the button here. Make it 30. Fine. Also a cursor or pointer. If you hover this, we will see the pointer cursor here. Now what we can do is, we are using the sign up button. Just add the button on click event here. So on click the button, the function name, sign up. Add it here. Now let's add our email here and password to sign up. So Nishant as 440@gmail.com and some password. But before that, make the type of password to be password. Input type password, and this one is email. Type as email. So if we type a password here, they should be in dotted format. We can't see it. So let me get some password. 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 2 6. Sign up here. So if we here see, we are now on the home page. We have signed up successfully. So now open the users in authentication and we can see our email. The provider is email and password. So we need to go back here and create two more what is it, options, one for Google and one for GitHub. So create two more buttons. Button, it should be Google, or just say sign up sign up with Google. Similarly, one more button for GitHub. Let's add some straight horizontal line between them. Use HR tag, and here also in between these buttons. Fine, but we are not saying it properly because we are using the flex box, so it's being shrink down to a dot here. So fine, it doesn't matter. So now we have to use Google and GitHub sign up buttons. So just repeat the styles here as well in buttons. Just format it like this. Now we have done, okay, wait, the problem is we have to use, let's make it Google or button alternate. We have to use more height here. So okay, it looks fine, doesn't matter. We are just using the we are just showing the functionality, not styling the app. So what we have to do is create one more function or two more function. So first will be sign up with Google. Second function will be GitHub. It should be GitHub. So we can use one function to do the both, but it will be complicated. So I don't want to make it complicated. So we have to import the methods for Google sign up and GitHub sign up. So let's import. First is Google auth provider. The provider we have to import, and then GitHub auth provider. Fine. These are the two things we need here. So we have to specify the provider for Google. So let's say Google provider equals to this new Google auth provider. Similarly, do it for GitHub. Copy and paste. Make Google as GitHub. And this one as GitHub auth provider. So in this function of Google, we can just say, we can just use this function called, okay, we need one more thing here, which is called sign up with pop-up. This one, sign in with pop-up. Then we can just use this pop-up method, and we have to pass auth, this auth, where is it, this auth, and the provider. So first the button is Google, so we will add Google provider, this one, and we will record the, let's record the, yeah, what is it, response, and we can do the same here also. So we can record the response. So let's console it first. Response dot user, we have to get the user ID from here, and let's console it here also. Now this button of sign up with Google, this function, we have to map it in this button here. So what we can do on this Google button, just say on click this button, then just format the code here and put the button at the bottom, press enter, and do the same for GitHub. And this one is bottom, at bottom, fine. So now if we click this button of Google, it will open up a window that you cannot see, but I can only see because I'm not recording that window. So open the console first to see what we get on the console if we click the button here. So open the console and see. In this providers, we don't, in the users, we don't have the email. We just have my email here. So let's sign up with Google again. Click, we are seeing a pop-up. And we have to use our email to sign up. So you click your email and it will show us all the data inside the user that we're getting in the console here. You see token, auth, display name, email, verified email is true or not, is anonymous or not. We have the photo URL and all the things. And if we see the Firebase auth, it is, let's refresh it. We should see our new email here and the provider is Google here. You see it now works fine. So the next thing we need is to add GitHub. So let's add it. So when okay, in this GitHub provider, repeat the same method here, but this provider of Google, it should be GitHub provider. GitHub, save, and let's go up and just copy this method const function and add it to GitHub. So on click this GitHub, this sign in with GitHub here. So if we sign in with GitHub again, let's try. Click this button. Okay, you see we are still getting this what is it, a pop-up for GitHub now, not Google. So you see we are getting the error, auth account exists with different credentials. That is because we are already using my email here, you see. So we have to delete this first in order to GitHub to work, because we can't create account with two same emails. So if we refresh now and try again, GitHub, click your email or click authorize, you see it now works. And if we open the console, we will see the provider of GitHub here. You see the display name is same, the email that I used to add. If we refresh this if we refresh this auth users, the provider is now GitHub and my email is now listed here. So we are done here. I guess the auth is now done. The last thing to do here is just push it to home page here. So just push to home, remove console.log or leave it. Fine. So if we now sign up, we should be on the home page. So sign up with Google again. Sign up with Google. And it will work because we already have the same email here and we are on the home page. So let's do one more thing here before going to the CRUD operations, is import use effect from React, then create a use effect hook here at the bottom of the functions. So use effect hook, and if we have two options here, two arguments or parameters, whatever. First is the data inside the function that we are going to run. Second, we have the dependency array. So if it is empty, it means it will run only one time when we load our page. But if we have something inside, let's say a state, then this use effect hook will run when that state changes. So we have to do a check here. So here let's just store our token inside a session storage. It's a good practice for authentication. So we can just say session storage dot set item. We have to use the token key and then the data. So data is called response.user.authToken, and I am using this session storage because it gets destroyed when we close this tab. So if we close the tab, we should be logged out automatically, and we can't see that page. So do it same here and here. Fine. We are now setting token inside session. So go back and log in again with Google or GitHub or your email and password, anything in these three, and it's getting. So if you open that applications tab, we should see our, you see we're seeing our, where is it? Session storage, this next auth. Okay, we are not seeing this. Wait a second, set item token. What is the problem here? What is, okay, we are seeing it. Localhost 3000 here. This one. We are seeing the token here. So we have to create a check here. First, let's get the token from the session storage when we load our application. So let token equals to, let's say, session storage. We have to get that token here. So get item, the key name, which is called token. So let's check here if token exists. So if we have a token, so if we don't have a token, it won't store it here and this will be empty. So if it is not empty, if we have a token here, we can just throw back to the home page using router.push. Fine, save it. So if we go back, so we have a token here, and if we try to go back, we should be thrown back to this home page. You see, we can't go back to register because we have token inside here. Let's do the same for the home page. So open that home page here. So open that home page and create a use effect hook, same as before. So import use effect from React and we are done. Okay, router is not defined, so let's create a auth. So instead of router, first import use router from next router, then create a const or let router equals to, let's say, use router, this import that we imported right now, then it's fine. So now here we have to do something like, if we don't have the token, we will just push us back to register page, register, save. So we can't go back, but let's try to destroy the token now. So delete it in the session application, just delete this. So if we now refresh the page, we don't have the token, so we can't go back to or go forward to the home page because it will check if we have a token or not here. So our auth is now done. Now let's move to the CRUD operations using React router, using next router and next. So sign up with Google again. So we will do that things in our home page here. So open the home page and let's start. So let's create two form page quickly. So in the home page, we don't need that h1 or just leave it, doesn't matter. Create two inputs. So input, first this input and repeat it second time here. So this should be of, let's say, placeholder of, let's say, just name, and this one should be placeholder of, let's say, age. So we have two fields, name and age. Let's give them some styles. So copy the styles, copy the class name and the styles inside, and just use styles dot, what is it, this input box, and here, so just repeat this once more here. Okay, let's remove the footer because it's checking the space in our app, and we can also clear this console, close the console to have more space in our app. Let's also add a button, make it add. So now we can add data using this button. So we can just use the class name here as well for the button that we created. So just add class name of in styles dot button here, and just break this. Fine, save. So now we have an add button here that we can use to add data to Firebase. But before all that, we will store the data inside this Firestore database. Only way to store data here. But we also have this Realtime. So create database here. Okay, create database, make it test mode because we are not in production. We are just testing the functionalities. So server is done. Enable it. So meanwhile, import a function called from Firebase Firestore. So import a function which is called get Firestore. Wait a second, the import is wrong. Firebase Firestore. Fine. So import get Firestore, this function. And let's create one more export here. So export, let's create database. So we will use the get Firestore, and we will just add this app inside to initialize it. We have the Firebase app, what is it? This database created here, and we can just add data here. So we can just import this, what is it, database inside homepage. So we are importing it here. So just we are importing a whole app. So also import database here. Fine. So now we have to create the instance of the database. I mean the collection. So we can just say const collection equal to, not collection. Let's say create const database ref equals to, so let's import collection here. So to create a collection, so import collection from Firebase Firestore. Then we will just create collection that takes two things. First is database, this database that we just imported, and second the collection name that we want to give the collection. So let's make it CRUD data. So we are done here. We have created database ref here, and we need one more function. So const add data. So database ref, fine, we don't need this. So let's import a few things here other than the collection, which is called add doc. So we need to use the add doc to add data, and we have different functions for all the different methods. So add doc is used for adding documents. We have read docs to read documents and other things. We will show in later parts and in the later videos, later. So we will just use add doc, and we will just say pass this database reference here, then the email and password state, sorry, email and age state here. So we need two states. So let's create the const, let's say name, set name, use state, make it a string, empty string to initialize it. Similarly for the age, so we are storing name and age here, age. So we can just set the name and age here in the inputs. So we can just say on change, and it will take a parameter called event, and we've just stored the event dot target dot value inside this set name value, and just copy and paste it again. Make this as set age. So if we type the data here, let's say name, okay, use state is not defined, so import it here, define it, use state. Now it will work. Now we can type something here and in the age. Okay, so it's done. So in this input of age, let's make it a number input type. So just add type of number, because we can't add the alphabetical characters here. We can just only add age. Fine. So make this as input of text, because it's simple a text element here. And let's also add the value. This should be the state name, which is called name, and here they should be value should be, it should be number, sorry, not number, it should be age. Save. Now let's try. So just add the button to this function here. Sorry, add the function to the button here. I am swapping things. So on click, swapping, add data. Fine. And now we have to pass data inside this database ref. So name should be the name of state, and it should be next should be age of the state of age. So if it is successful, we will use 10 to denote that data has been sent. So we can throw an alert here. So we can say data sent. But if it fails, we can just use a catch block to throw the error. So we can just show the error. So console.log, let's console it. So console.error, we can just say error. Save, and now let's try. So what we have to do here is additional things to just set the values empty if it adds something in the Firestore. So we can set name as empty and set age as empty as well. Okay, not empty, this should be null because it's a number, and make the age as null here also. So now it's try enter my name Nishant, age 25, then just add it here. Okay, data sent, click OK, and they are being cleared, but not this email, not this age, because I don't know what's wrong with this input type of number. It's fine with text, but not number. So if we check the Firebase Firestore, we should get our data here, our name and age, and the collection ID. Sorry, not collection, document ID. So this ID is called unique. This is ID is unique. So let's add one more. Let's say Nishant 2, age 27, add, sent, okay, and it should be here. If we refresh this should be here. You see the second collection document is here with the name of Nishant 2 and age is 27. But the thing is, we are adding a number here, but we are receiving string here. So we have to convert this name into a string. Sorry, convert this number into a number, age into a number. So just wrap it in a number thing here. So now if we try again, let's add Nishant 3 or 3, age 27. Let's make it 1000. Click add, send, and here this should be the new document. And okay, you see the age is now number here, it's not string. So our add doc is done. So now let's move to read document. So for the read document, we need to input a function here as well, which is called get docs with an S, not single doc, and create a function here. So const get data and make it an arrow function. Then we have to just use this getDoc function and we have to pass this database reference, and that's all to get data. So we have to call this function first. So how to call this? We have to call this when our page loads. So in this use effect hook, just pass it here. So if we have a token, we have to get data here like this. Fine. We can also create one check. So if we have a token, only then we will call this get data function, which is always. So we are calling this function. So we have to make this function asynchronous and make this as await because we are using a promise here. So we can just say dot then to record the response we are getting. We can say response and let's console it. Console dot log response. Save. So open the console now and we are getting this data. So if we refresh it, let's me refresh. So we are getting all this data here. Where this one, but there are a lot of data inside that we cannot read properly. So we need to get the data in this format. So this should be an array. This one should be an object, and inside objects we will have different properties of name and age. Fine. So what we can do is we have to map it to get our data. So we can just response.docs. So we have to map this docs here. It takes a parameter or it takes a value, let's say data. Fine. So to return the data and the value of inside data, which is called data. So it's peculiar. So if we now save, we are getting these three objects here in an array of objects. So we have an array, which is this array CRUD data, and inside we have three objects 1, 0, 1 and 2, and inside the objects we have two properties of age and name in all these three objects. So let's also add the ID here, this document ID, to differentiate between all these three. So we have to wrap it inside a curly bracket and we have to merge it with the ID, this object. So we will just say ID and we can just say data.id. Now we can see our ID as well here. You see we have this ID of HQZA whatever, the first one, and second one should be PMFZ and it's PMFZ, and third one is also here. Fine, you see here. So now we have to store this in an array. So create one array state. So const, let's say fire data, fine, good name, set fire data. So use state. So it should be an array, empty array first. Then we will have to set it here. So just set this. Close. Now let's map our this file data. Show the data to see the data here in our UI. So this after the button, we will create a div here first. Then we have to just say fire data map to get data inside this map. So we can just say data to iterate over it, and we have to return some data here. So let's put it in a div again. Then we have to first use h1 for the name. So let's say we have to target data object dot name. Then second thing is let's add a p tag. It should be data dot age. So save, and now we can see our name and age respectively like this. So let's make it h2 because h3 it's too big. h3. Now we can see our name and the age respectively. Let's make it in a single row. So we can just use styles dot flex. Then in the home.module.css we can just add this flex, and we can just say display of flex. Also justify content space evenly. Fine, but here it's not even. So just make this justify content space between. Okay, what about the third one? Why it is not getting reflected properly? So let's check the grid. So the main height is okay. Let's remove all this predefined styles here. Just leave input box and the styles following it. Okay. Let's also add. Okay. Wait. This breaking. Okay, fine. Doesn't matter. You have to just add some margin here, or just say gap to add the gap between the flex item. So gap 50 should be 10 pixels. Okay, now we have some gap here, so we don't need the justify content. Okay, fine. So we have the name and the age. Let's also use align items to align it vertically. Okay, it's fine. So we can just add the name as well here. So name text and age text. So the name is Nishant2 and age is 27, just like Firestore. So read is now done also. This read operation. Okay, what do we have imported here? That's wrong. Fine. So we're done name and age using read operation. We're getting all this data here. Now let's see how to update these fields. So to update these fields, we need a button adjacent to these fields here, to this name and age. So add a button and give it a styles of, sorry, class names of the button style that we have in home.module.css. This should be button. So we can just say styles dot button. Fine. So we don't have anything, so just say update here. Fine. Now if you click this have to send id to the function, to a function. So create a function here first. This should be const update fields. It should take the id parameter here. So receive it, and we will send id from this button. So on click, we will just send the id. So just say, what is it, data dot id. Now let's console it here. So console dot log id. So open the console now. If we click the button here of update for the first field, okay, we're not getting the id because we have to use arrow function here like this. Now it will work. So click the update of Nishant2, getting the id in this function here in the update field, this one and this one. Now let's update the fields. So we need a function here first. So it should be doc, and we have to update the doc. So doc will tell us which field to edit in the Firestore, and this update doc will edit. So we have to add the doc first. So let's create let data or field to edit. So make this doc. So it will select a document which takes some parameters. So first is the database, second is the collection name, which is the collection name, CRUD data. So we can get it from this one, and the third thing we need is the id. Fine. So we have the field to edit now. Which field to edit? So second thing to do is we have to just use update doc function and pass this field to edit first parameter. Second, the thing we have to import. So we import the name, edit the name I mean, and then we have the updated name. Then let's add the age and the updated age. Fine. So if it's successful, we can just throw a then, and we can just say console dot log they should be, no, console, let's add an alert here. Alert data updated. But if it throws an error, we can just say catch error. We can add a alert here or an console log, doesn't matter. Or if it matters, if you are building an app. So we have done these things here. Now let's try to update. So if we click update here, it's updated, but we are doing something wrong. Okay, wait a second. Update fields. So we are doing this thing wrong because we have to add this function as get ID. Fine. We don't need this here. We have to make it on the add button. So this get ID, they should be here in this button of update of get ID. So if we click this, we will get our ID. Fine. So we had did something wrong here. So name is now, but we don't have any name in it. So delete this first one because it's not looking good. So if we refresh this, this will be now fine. So now we have to do is get this Nishant and 825 in this input fields. So what we can do is we can send our name and age. Okay, what should we do? Okay, we have to send the name and age as well. So just say data dot name and data dot age. Then in this function we have to receive it of get ID. So just say name is first and then we are adding age. So now let's set the name and age inside this input states. So set name should be the name. But okay, just add set name as name and set age as age. So now let's try to update. Click update. So we're getting the name and age here, you see, but we have to do one more thing. So if we click update here, this add button should be changed to update. So let's do this. So create a boolean value of boolean state called is update and set is update. So use state, it should be false. Then we will set this update to true when we click the button of update here. So where is it? So on this button click, we are calling this function. So just set this to true. Now if it is true, then we will show a update button here. So where is the add button? So we can just say if it is true, we will show update button or else the add button. So add the button here in the second value, second check, and in the first just make the add to update. So let's create one more function to update the data. So this should be const update fields equal to error function. Then we have to add this field to edit. Let's also create one more set for the ID. So copy this and add the constant of ID here. ID and set ID. This should be null because the ID is number. So set ID should be this ID. So to set the ID, we can just set ID as ID. We are setting ID, name and age here. So in this update fields, just copy this previous function update doc and we have to add it here. Just uncomment this and it will work. So this update doc is taking field to edit and it's updating here. So this should be capital ID for the state. So add the update field to this button of update. So now let's try. So Nishant and age 24 for the first. Click update, and you see the button is now changed to update here. Add button. Let's make it 26. Click update. Updated. And if we check here, okay, the Nishant is the name. So you see the age is 26 now. So here also you have to add the number property before the age to convert it into number. Now if we try again, so if we make it 27, click update here, updated, and the number is now age is now number. So it's working fine. So what we have to do now is just set all this data to null and empty string if we update. Fine. One more thing to do, we can't see our add button here. So to see the add button, we have to set this is the update to true when we load our application or when we click add data. Okay, not this. If we refresh, okay, it's here. So what we can do is just, okay, it's fine, leave it. So now we can update, and we can set it to false when we are updated successfully. So we can just say set update to false. So let's try now. Let's update to 25 age. Click update. So update it, and the button is now add. But this number is not getting removed from here because I don't know what's wrong with the email with the number input. So let's update this second value. So make the age to 27 and age, just name this Nishant. Updated, and it's reflecting here. You see the age 27 and name is Nishant. Now let's add the delete function. So just add a button just like this update to delete this. So it should be here. Fine. Just add a button of delete. Delete. Save. And it will do the same thing that the update is doing. It will just pass the ID. And we don't need the name and age. So we have to just delete using this getID function. So we're getting ID here. And then we have to just import one more thing which is called delete doc to delete the document. So simply create a function. So const delete document. Fine. Then we have to just use this delete doc function and pass it the, okay, we have to use the field to edit first. So create it and just pass the field to edit. We can record this data using then, and we will just throw an alert here to say data deleted. Fine. Then just catch it if it occurs any error here. So just say alert cannot delete that field. So let's try to delete the name of Nishant, then A25. Click delete here. Okay, here. Okay, we have to add the function in here as well in this delete button. Just wait a second. So okay, the thing is we are using getID to delete, to update, but to delete we don't have to use getID. We have just used getDocument and the pass ID here, pass ID and receive ID, and just make this as ID here. Now it will work. So refresh it again and let's check. Delete the first field of Nishant, then H25. So deleted here. You see, we don't have the field of Nishant and H25 here in the Firestore, but we can see it here. It means we have to refresh data when we click delete. So we can just call the get data function. So click it again. So now we don't see any fields here. So we have to use the get data function in the update field as well. Here, just paste it after the alert in this Where is it? In the add field as well. So if we click, or if we add data, so let's add data Nishant age24, click add, sent, and it is reflecting here. Add another name, let's say Ashish, ASHISH, age25, add sent. Let's add third one, call Raju, and age27, add here. So we have 3 fields now. Let's add one more, last one. This should be Uday. Let's add 30, click add here, sent. Now we have 4 fields, and in this Firestore we have 4 fields, 4 objects with name and age properties. So now let's to try update this Raju field. So the age should be 25 here. Make 25, click update, and it now works in real time. It is getting updated properly. Let's update Ashish, make the age to be 2500, click update. The age is now 2500 here, real time. Let's try to delete Nishant, click delete here, and this delete button, deleted, and we don't see the name of Nishant here, and neither in Firebase. So we have now done all the 4 operations, which are called create for creating data, read for reading data, update for updating data, and delete for deleting data, which is also known as CRUD. So we have also added authentication here. So we can't go back unless we log out. So let's create one more button, last button for logout here, because why not? So we can just create a div here, div, and make it a button inside this div. So button, make this as log out, save. So I have logout button here. Let's create a function here. So const log out equals to an arrow function. Then we have to just destroy the token inside session. Then we have to just navigate to our home, to registered page. So we can just say, what can we say? We can say session storage dot remove item. Let's add the key name, which is called token. Then we will just return back to the home. So router dot push to the registered page, register. Now we have to just add this logout button in the button, logout function in this button. So on click the logout. So click logout now. We are on the registered page, and now we can't go back to the home page because we have protective routes in Next.js. If we sign up, only then we can go to that home page. Sign up with my email account. See, we're now seeing the home page here with text of name and age and all the data here. So one more thing before going to sleep is I have to create one more page for logging in. So let's say login or small login dot js. It's already existing in this location. Okay, we have already hit here. Login. Okay, it's fine. So let's go to login page. So we can see login text here. So we have to create the same things that we did in register. So copy all this data and paste it in login. Just change some text or title. So make it login, save. Okay, reload it. Login. Okay, login. So here we don't need we need Google and GitHub, fine, doesn't matter. So, but here we don't have to use this create user and password, create user with email and password, because it's a login page. We have to log in here. So let me show you what I mean. So if you go back to registered page, so let's add one random email. So let's say nishant123@gmail.com. So let's say this is the email of an user. Let's add a password 123456. Click sign up. So it should be here. in the Firestore authentication, Firebase authentication. So we have this nishant123@gmail.com and the password. So if we try to now create the user with same email account, we can't able to create it. Let's try. It will throw an error. So nishant123@gmail.com, password, add it here. Let's open the console. Okay, let's also just catch it here. So just say catch error. We can just say console.log error.code. So open the console, click sign up. You see email and already in use because we already have the email here in this so in this authentication tab in this users. So you see we are getting this error here also. So what we have to do is we have to log in here, not registered again using same email. So we can throw an error using alert. So just say email already exists. So to log in, we have to create a login function here. Login with Google and login with. So it should be sign in with email and password. So just replace create user with email and password with this function called sign in with email and password. Now it will work. So if we refresh this, let's try again. Let's add this email nishant123@gmail.com and the password. So make the text of sign up to log in here. So this should be sign in. Now click sign in here. Okay, we need to be on the wait, what is doing login page. It's not login, it's register. So now add the email here, nishant123@gmail.com. The password, sign in. You can see we are now signed in here. But if we use the wrong email to sign in, that we are not registered properly, we will get an error. So we can just use the any email that we have not registered. So let's try this one, nishant1234@gmail.com. Password anything. Sign in. You see we are getting this email called email already exists. Okay, wait, we have added the wrong message here. So it should be email does not exist, and in the register we have to add that previous error message, already existing message. So just put in the catch block here after this. Then so sign in again and you see email does not exist because we don't have the nishant1234 here. So let's create it in the sign in page, sign up page. So email and the password. So we are using this nishant1234@gmail.com and the password 1 from 6. Sign up. So we are saying all the data. Now, what if we use the wrong password? So sign in with again. So login. And if we refresh this, we should be able to see 1234 account here in authentication. See, we are getting this. So let's sign in with this email, but the password should be wrong. So let's try this 123. We'll still get this error here called email does not exist because we are not using custom error messages here. Or we can just say cannot log in. So if we get this error because we have something wrong in the email or any in the password. Sign in. So you can say cannot log in because I think the password is wrong. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 sign in. Now we can sign in here. So we have done all the functionalities in our app starting from authentication to CRUD operations. So now I'm logging out and going to sleep.